listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and man, today we have another guest for the show. We're going to talk to a opera singer and actress, Miss Kendra Wilkerson, and she's doing big things, man. She's doing a lot of cool things on San Antonio status, keeping us proud in 210. But she's doing far more greater things that we're going to be diving into today, and she has an exciting business thing she's doing with Wilkerson Beauty that we're going to be learning about, but she's also going to be discussing her career as an opera singer and actress. So first and foremost, Kendra, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm so excited to be back here with you.
I appreciate you taking time to be here. So this is just conversation. So kind of educate our listeners a little bit about your opera singing career and how did that start?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked. So it started, of course, when I was actually as a child. My father gave me piano lessons. I took piano lessons as a child. Like since I was 5 years old, I've been learning how to play the piano. So that got my interest in music, learning how to read music. That kind of moved into actual studying vocal performance as well. So that's really how I got started.
And did you have anyone in your family that was into music as well? Or did you have like friends or did you have a mentor? What sparked that interest?
So my dad, he kind of had like a hobby of music, and he actually motivated me to actually learn how to read music, learn about the history of music. He also encouraged me to learn about some of the history icons of music, also kind of learn about their experiences and see how, like, sometimes you'll be given curveballs for a variety of ways into the music industry or the entertainment industry. So, yeah.
That's cool. So he really, because you said at a young age you kind of tapped into the piano, or was that mostly him and he just kind of brought you along with that?
Well, he just let me know who are some of the people I should study, and such as Dorothy Dandridge, also Harry Belafonte. Actually, he recently passed, and he was a really big influence on Dorothy Dandridge's career. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, once again, listen, I'm Refocus Radio talking to our guest today, Kendra Wilkerson. And you also, we're not going to jump too far ahead here, but you recently dropped an EP.
Yes, I did. I recently dropped my my EP, the mixtape Volume 1, and it's on iTunes. You're welcome to listen to it. It's in a variety of different languages. It's in Italian, German, English, and also Latin. So it's awesome. I recommend listening to it and getting a little bit more acquainted with European art forms.
And that's what's cool about this whole gig of you being an opera singer, because it's not just one thing you do multiple things. So kind of share the audience some of the like events and programs you've been a part of, because it's not like you're just singing for
Sure.
a hobby.
Thank you for asking. So I have my entertainment business or career has a lot of different multifacets to it. Of course, I am an opera singer, but I also have a beauty skincare line as well, as I recently just launched. I also have, I've been taking a lot of classes for acting classes, and I'm wanting to project my career to actually on film roles. Opera singers, a lot of opera singers don't really go into a film. There's a few opera singers that have gone into film. John David Washington, his mother, Pauletta Washington, she's actually an opera singer, and she actually propelled her career into actually on-camera film roles for the American market. So I do a lot of studying of artists who I actually admire, and it's interesting because of the opera industry. You kind of have to study the greats that came before you. That's just what you do. Kathleen Battle, Pauletta Washington, of course, Marian Anderson, which I would love to be in a movie and play her role, Marian Anderson. She is awesome. Her story is amazing. A lot of people don't really know who Marian Anderson is, and I think having an on-film role kind of giving an idea to her story and how she impacted America and the European continents and countries as well. I think it's a must-see. So if you have a script out there, let me know. Please give me a call. I'd love to play that role and read for that role.
So you are really invested into this opera thing because, like history. I mean, was that something that stuck with you early on when you started being an opera singer, or did you learn along the way?
Well, before Beyonce, before I knew of Beyonce and I knew of some of the greats, that Aretha Franklin and some of the America's icons, I studied opera because my parents wanted me to learn how to read, wanted me to learn how to socialize in a variety of social circles. So that's really what got me into it.
That's awesome because you can really tell that you are not just singing. It's a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah, it is a little bit deeper. So traditionally, opera, it's really, the venue is actually on stage. And you would go to an opera venue and you would watch an opera at a opera house. And it's interesting because there are so many opera houses throughout the country, and having the opportunity and honor to perform in an actual opera house is one of a kind. And every opera singer has a different path to get there. Marian Anderson, her path to singing in the opera house was not the traditional route. She actually was not accepted into a music school, and she had to have a different route to get into opera and singing in opera houses. I share a similar experience with her when it comes to musical education. So, but I always know that if there is a will, there's a way. And just making sure that you have the right attitude and making sure that you have the right goal in mind.
And you spoke of path. You have your very own path that you're making right now. You live in San Antonio, and I'm sure you perform in some places. What's some of the big things you've been able to do in the city?
Well, I currently live in San Antonio, and I love San Antonio. I love the community. I love the culture. Right now, I'm thinking I know I have to branch out and move into more of a metropolitan city. I know people want to keep me here and have fun with me, but I love being here. But I think it's probably best for me to move my career to one of the bigger markets right now. I think eventually artists get a little bit too big for a community or culture, and you have to move to a larger market. I'm trying to get some opportunities, and if Los Angeles, New York. So right now I'm in negotiations right now. Nice.
And I know recently, though, you've been able to be on some big stages in the city.
Well, I sing at my church. I've had a few concerts in the city. I'm focused on actually performing opera. I've done a few workshops. I've performed at some museums here, some art installations here in the city as well. So, yeah,
the McNay.
Yes,
I mean,
the
that's
McNay.
big.
Yeah, it's super big.
Big.
I was super excited to be a part of that, and it's such an honor to work with some artists here in the city that are so talented, and they go on to do so much. So I'm super excited as well.
So you're very humble because you're very low key. When I said McNay Museum, I mean,
yeah,
that's a big deal in the city.
Yeah, it's a super big deal. I didn't realize the importance of the art community when it comes to music, and being able to have a thorough, legitimate understanding of how that works it's amazing.
Now, speeding up a little bit, you have been able to win prizes as well as an opera singer. Can you touch on that?
I have. I decided to submit some of my music to a opera competition, the American Prize, and I actually won. I made it into the semifinals, so I was actually acknowledged, which I'm super excited. Woo!
Right, yeah.
I'm super excited because, having the title of a professional opera singer, I'm so honored to have that title because, people can say, well, I'm a singer, I'm a model, I'm a Allen Ivory dancer or something like that. But actually having the title of opera singer is like, whoa. So,
because it's not just handed out to anybody.
No, it's not.
And kind of educate the audience on that because what was your experience like preparing for the opportunity to be recognized?
What was my experience? Honestly, reading music is a lot like reading a script for a Hollywood movie production. You have to read the script. You have to learn the part. You have to learn the language. You have to convey the meaning. So learning how to read an actual sheet of music and learning how to read a movie script, it comes hand in hand. I mentioned I want to be able to collaborate and move that concept into an on-film idea so people can have like, oh, now we get it. You know what I mean? It's on. You don't believe it until you see it. So.
And you mentioned pursuing your goals outside the city limits, which I think is awesome. You get to kind of let people know what can happen if you stick to your process.
Yes. And a lot of opera singers go on to perform with the Metropolitan Opera. And what it is basically the opera is actually broadcast. It's usually their live broadcast in movie theaters or their recorded broadcasts. San Antonio hasn't seen that yet. So it's like, well, you're an opera singer. Well, what do you really do? So we're like, I know people are probably like, well, we're not really familiar with that concept. We're not familiar with the concept of performing in an opera house. What is an opera house? Right. I live in my house. You know what I mean? Like this is the Lemonade House. So. But being a actual opera house, it's a completely different story. It's not. It's a different experience.
I mean, let me know if I'm kind of off key here, but when I think of opera, it's like, in my opinion, it's almost like sports. You have all your heavy action, football, basketball, even baseball, but then you have golf, where it's a little bit more sophisticated.
Yes, exactly. So, and I'm glad you brought that up. So sports, when it comes to opera, well, it goes hand in hand. I think being very versatile and being able to socialize in a variety of social groups and functions and societies as well. I think that is something that it's a must and it's definitely necessary. When you're saying sports, I would say it's competitive as sports. And the reason why is because you're having to compete and you have to compete with other artists. It's not as heavy, like when there's no heavy lifting or running, headbutting or anything like that. There's no contact sport with opera.
Oh, yeah.
There's no contact sport and there's no bouncing of the ball, but I believe that the competitive spirit is there and the will to win and the will to continue to participate in that sport. Golf, well, that would be nice, but traditionally, I think opera singers have mingled with like the golf crowd. Like, hey, I would love to meet Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, if you're here, like if you're listening, I'd love to meet you. So yeah, it kind of has a competitive sophistication of that such.
And you received your education at Texas A&M, where you studied communications and vocal performance. How has that made an impact in using that towards your professional goals?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I've met so many amazing people at University of the Incarnate Word. I'm getting a little bit teary-eyed because I think without my team there, my friends, I wouldn't be where I am. And I think the camaraderie of UIW is one of a kind. The discipline of learning how to learn music and learning the understanding of performing and singing at jewelries and performance jewelries, and learning how to go into competitions and making sure you just continue to strive. You know, some competitions are a little bit more thorough than others. So I'm excited for my next vocal performance competition.
And you, once again, listen, I'm Refocus Radio, talking to our guest, Kendra Wilkerson, and you as a professional opera singer and actress. We're going to tap into the actress real quick, but before we do that, as an opera singer, you are a Black woman. Do you see more and more Black women get into opera or being interested in opera?
You know, I'm glad you asked that question. For African American women in opera, you always have these household names. Coretta Scott, she is a household name for African American women in opera, and she's known for her family unit. And we don't hear too much about her singing other than in the church. And some other household names, as I mentioned, would be Kathleen Battle, Marian Anderson. There's so many to mention. And as a Black woman, it's an interesting experience because it's like, well, which path do you want to go on? Do you want to do like the traditional household name, or do you want to actually focus on your career? With being a modern, in the modern generation, I've noticed that my experiences have been able to kind of compare and contrast everybody's experience and try to forge my own path. Like I love the history of African American culture, but I'm wanting to forge my own path and still have a respect and honor for the greats that have come before me.
Man, with that said, let's tap into you being an actress. I mean, when did that come? Was that during the whole process of you being an opera singer, or did it come later?
Well, opera singers are singing actors, and I think that a thorough singer is an actor. Like if you're like to the core, you're acting. There's some maybe a little bit more polished than others. So that really gets me into acting. I've had a lot of experiences. I've been on, like as a child actor, I actually went on a Hollywood movie set and I had an opportunity to experience acting. Of course, at that age, I wasn't really a good script reader.
And, just got started.
Yeah, I was. I had an opportunity to go on to Varsity Blues, and I was able to mingle and with some of the actors on set. And again, I wasn't able to read scripts. So I'm interested in bringing it on set as soon as possible, and just learning how to act, taking acting classes as well, mixing and mingling with actors, doing impromptu classes, and just really learning how to read the script as well, and staying on the right path for actual entertainment.
Do you see yourself, because I know you say you are pursuing other sites outside of San Antonio, do you see yourself kind of merging opera singing and acting and incorporate that in your future projects as far as like pursuing different acting gigs? Are you hoping to kind of use both at the same time, if that makes sense?
Well, honestly, like behind every great celebrity icon, there's a great team. And you can only do as much as your team is wanting to do. I would love to merge something here as well. I know San Antonio has an amazing arts and culture district in Southtown. I've been there a few they have amazing restaurants there. They're like superb. So I would love to. Some cities actually bring in like full scale Hollywood sets, and I would love to see the city of San Antonio do some partnerships as well here in the city and do some film casting. That'd be amazing. But right now, we'll see what happens.
That's awesome, man. Once again, listen, I'm Refocus Radio talking to Kendra Wilkerson, and people want to check you out. What's the best way they can find you online? You have a website you can give?
Yes. Thank you for asking. KendraSingsOpera.com. That's the best way to get in touch with me, stay updated into what's going on. And yeah.
You came in the studio with some skincare product.
Oh my gosh.
I want to say thanks for that.
I'm so glad you noticed.
Yeah. And I couldn't, in this interview, I want to wrap this up with you kind of talking about you as an entrepreneur. You are expanding, not just singing and acting, but you are in your own business for skincare. So.
Yes. So I'm glad you asked. So as a student, I actually worked at Sephora as a beauty consultant. And that was kind of like my bread and butter and my my fun experience while I was in school, learning about skincare, learning about quality skincare, nothing too like heavy or heavy duty or anything like that. And I know over the years, the skincare and makeup industry has kind of evolved. And I wanted to kind of bring it back to what it really is, not like something superficial. So I brought you some skincare as well, and it's I'd love for you to try it. And
I appreciate it.
Also, my skincare is actually, you can purchase it on my website at KendraSingsOpera.com, and I think you would really enjoy the skincare. It's very good quality, it's very authentic, and so check it out.
Man, well, we have a lot of San Antonio listeners, so everyone listening to this, you better share it with all your friends in San Antonio and go to her website. It's KendraSingsOpera.com. And I've still got a few minutes left with you. You being an entrepreneur, being your own boss, you're working your way to the top. What has your journey been like so far as your experience learning what you can and can't do as a business owner?
Well, my experience has been, I mentioned that behind every great icon, celebrity figure, there's a great team. And really knowing, and the idea of team, it's such a, sometimes that concept can get skewed. But I think the idea of a team morale and knowing that, somebody may not be the star player on the team at a particular season, and knowing when your season is, and knowing that when your training season is, and just understanding that idea. Nobody really wants to play like the underdog of any sport industry, but just kind of knowing that with every experience, there is some type of authentic information that you can learn, that you can apply to your career. Like, I want to be a part of the entertainment industry for years to come. Earlier in the interview, I mentioned how Harry Belafonte recently passed. He was such a iconic figure in our industry, and he's a great role model. And I want to be able to have a career that's compared to Harry Belafonte that's here for years to come. Yeah.
Man, well, congratulations on your true accomplishments and the whole health skincare thing that you're doing. And I think you said you're going to be doing some other things. I won't spill the beans. They can go to your website, KendraSingsOpera.com for more information and to catch up what you do in your official launch. Anything you say to San Antonio or just people out there who are chasing their entrepreneurship spirit?
Sure. I love you, San Antonio. It's been a pleasure being here working with y'all. And I know San Antonio has so much more actors, entertainers that are going to definitely win some awards. So, and I look forward to working with everyone.
We've been talking to the amazing actress and opera singer Kendra Wilkerson here on Refocus Radio. I want to say thanks again for your time.